Start with your toe.
Are you telling me you built a time machine? Boy.
There is no school.
He's on the droids. You're
Get away from her, you bitch!
Well, let me finish them, please.
I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Sunday podcast, version 2.0. I'm your host, David S. Dawson. Joining me tonight for our discussion on Disney, all things Disney, Disney Plus, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, whatever you want. We can talk about it all. Joining me is my sister, Theresa.
What's up, guys?
Our buddy, Mike Peterson.
What's up?
And the one and only, truly unique, Jordan Jacobo.
You said it, Chewy. Only that's not my last name, but that's fine. I'll let it go.
Well, hi, guys.
How many different ways can you say his last name, David?
Don't even tempt me.
Yeah, no. Let's not.
Butchering last names is kind of a long, glorious pastime of mine.
Oh, good.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about Disney.
Now he doesn't even feel special.
There's so much. This is not about Jordan. This is about Disney. Let's get to the point.
That's right, Disney.
So there's so much news that's come out of Disney this summer and really today that I felt like it was a good time for us to have a chat about all things going on with Disney. Let's start with the kind of positives. Hey, Marvel ruled the universe this summer.
Yeah,
completely.
$2.8 billion with Endgame, over $1 billion with Captain Marvel earlier in the year. The Sony and Disney Spider-Man movie, over $1.1 billion. Just absolutely dominated. And that was the Marvel stuff. And then on top of that, Disney's live action films, Aladdin, Lion King, they also crossed the $1 billion mark. Lion King at 1.6, and Toy Story 4 from Pixar, over $1 billion as well. I mean, just a hell of a run for Disney this year.
This year, in 4 months.
A lot of that was in the last. Yeah, a lot of that was in the last 4 months. Captain Marvel was earlier in the year, but yeah, a huge amount of money to make in the summer. They really just dominated the box office over the summer. And our episode that we recorded earlier today, we talked a lot about that. Jordan, did you know that the top 6 movies at the box office this year, 5 of those are Disney Marvel films? And one of them is the Sony Disney Marvel movie.
Really? I did not know that. That is amazing.
Top 6 movies, about $9 billion in box office, all coming from the House of Mouse.
Holy crap, Marvel is killing it.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Marvel and Disney just... Whew, and Pixar. I mean, crazy. So it's a great summer, but towards the end of the summer, we had a rush of really amazing, fun news with Comic-Con, where they announced a lot of the Disney Plus stuff, right?
No, they announced at Comic-Con. They announced a lot of some of the Marvel.
Well, it was Marvel Phase 4.
Mm-hmm. It was D23 where Disney Plus stuff came out.
Yeah, but the first drops of stuff that we were going to see on Disney Plus that were Marvel related came at Comic-Con before D23. So when we found out the official word on Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and
the Eternals, right?
Hawkeye.
The Eternals, I thought it was.
Hawkeye.
That's a movie.
You're talking about movies. I'm talking about Disney Plus. And then on the movie side, it was the Eternals, it's Black Widow, it's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. God, I love that title.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Awesome title too.
Love that title as well. What was your biggest surprise of the Marvel announcements at Comic-Con, guys? Like, what really kind of caught you off guard? Ooh, it's
I'm trying to go backwards to Comic-Con right now.
I love the fact that Taika's back for Thor, and that Natalie Portman has joined.
Yeah, but where the heck was she for the last Avengers movie? She's the only person that didn't come back. They had to use stock footage. It wasn't even Thor stock footage. I think it was like from episode 2 of Star Wars.
All right.
You could tell because you could see it in her dead eyes.
But yeah, I don't think anyone saw Natalie Portman walking out on that stage.
No, that was a huge surprise. Yeah, it was a big surprise. And according to everything I've ever heard, is she was disappointed in where her character had been going in the Thor movies, because she was just a glorified girlfriend for Thor. She really didn't feel like there was much for her character to do, which, honestly, if you go back and watch those first 2 Thor movies, it's not an unfair criticism of what she was given to do.
Yeah, she's a bit of a Mary Sue.
Yeah, very much so. But apparently it took one sit-down dinner between her and Taika that lasted like 2 hours, and she walked out and signed a contract to come back.
Holy crap.
And I guess she's going to be the female Thor of the MCU. So be interesting to see how that all turns out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope they bring back Kat Denny. Oh, I love her.
I did see somewhere recently that Kat's coming back. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. She makes life worth living, How cool is the What If series going to be, huh?
Yeah, that was the next thing I want to talk about. Like, the What If stuff is pretty cool. Animated.
Yes.
And
but voiced by all the main actors.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I think I'm the most excited about all these Disney Plus series that they're putting together, is that they're bringing all the big guns from the movies. Like, they're coming back to play their parts. They're not, look, when they did Ferris Bueller for television, right? It was not Ferris Bueller. Right?
Yeah.
Some weird actor, somebody we've all forgotten long since. But that's not the case with these Marvel shows. They're going to be, and even the Lucasfilm shows. They're bringing back Cassian Andor from the Rogue One film.
Mm-hmm.
Ewan McGregor is coming back to play Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Best.
All is right with the universe.
So excited.
Hey, man, I wait.
That announcement came at D23, of course. The D23 stuff too, they announced more Marvel shows. We got to see our first like really good looks at The Mandalorian, which looks amazing. So looking forward to that show. Jordan, how much of that show are you aware of? Like,
I've been studying up a lot on The Mandalorian, and I love that they brought in Carl Weathers. You know what I mean? Although I was telling a friend of mine, how funny would it be if in the first episode Carl Weathers got his arm ripped off and they had to put in a prosthetic robot arm? Oh, am I the only one that saw Predator here? That's fine. That's okay. That's just fine.
It's a real deep dive there, Jordan.
Oh, deeper. I've been making jokes about him as it pertains to Arrested Development. He buys all his starships at police auctions. I know, but I'm excited. It looks fantastic, right? And how cool does that female, I don't know if she's a protagonist or an antagonist, but she looks like she can hold her own. She looks tough, that woman.
Gina Serrano.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what her name is.
Yeah, she's a MMA fighter. Yeah.
Is she?
Mike is very excited.
Tough broad.
And then she went on to Deadpool.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was I forget the character's name in Deadpool.
Well, this is going to be great.
What character was she in Deadpool?
The big one.
She was yes. She,
The first Deadpool?
Yeah.
Yeah. At any rate, that's neither here nor there. She looks awesome in the Mandalorian trailers. Everything about that show looks tonally spot on.
Oh yeah.
And I'm excited because Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are both sharing the duties of bringing that show to life.
Sweet.
More than anything, I'm just happy that Dave Filoni is involved because that man has been the heart of Star Wars for the last 15 years.
You ain't lying.
Isn't Taika in that too?
Taika is
the voice of the robot.
Yeah, the assassin droid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's directing at least one episode.
Yeah.
Bryce Dallas Howard is directing an episode too.
Yeah.
Who's Taika?
The guy who directed Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, this is going to be good. It's an all-star cast. Sorry.
Jordan is so loud.
Sorry, I'm just really enthusiastic about Star Wars. You know. Real quick, though, in that scene where we finally... Look, here's the thing. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, or enthusiast, if you will. And so, years ago, I read a story where IG-88 took on this whole mercenary troop, right? And I'm like, IG-88? That's... How? He doesn't look menacing. But then they finally showed that IG droid fighting, and I'm like, this is everything I could have ever dreamed of.
Right? It's a brief shot of him fighting in that trailer, but you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
That is a great trailer. One, it just shows that even for a TV series, they're putting the budget in for a feature film. It looks stunning, but it is Old West style. You've got duels going off. I love when he shoots the guy and the closes the door on him, the blast door.
Yeah, I believe what I read was it's $100 million budget for the season.
Oh,
and I think it's a 10-episode season.
Basically, $1 million per or 10 million.
Yeah, basically $10 million an episode, which actually is surprisingly not that much.
Not that much, yeah.
But wow,
Jon Favreau will do it justice, though, because that guy does a lot with very little budgets.
Yeah, well, and that's why Iron Man was such a success.
You know it, baby.
He set a tone for Marvel, and I think he's going to be setting the tone here for Lucasfilm going forward.
Yep.
Well, he voiced and helped out a lot with the Clone Wars.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't with Rebels too. Rebels, he was the guy, the Mandalorian with the black saber.
Oh
yeah.
Pre Vizsla. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, you really know your stuff, Mike. You and me, buddy.
I try.
Well, I mean, Favreau is a great filmmaker, but Filoni's the guy who's been driving all of the kind of extended Star Wars stories, Clone Wars, Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, which just won an Emmy, I believe. But Filoni knows Star Wars in and out. Right?
Yep.
He lives it, breathes it, eats it. That has been his entire existence for the last 15 years or so. So I'm super excited that he's so involved. And actually, this is the first live action thing he's ever directed, and produced and worked on. So I hope that he starts transitioning into controlling and guiding more of the Lucasfilm Star Wars franchise in kind of the same way that Feige has been handling Marvel. You need somebody who has that passion for the material to kind of guide things through. Kathleen Kennedy can run Lucasfilm, but there should be somebody overseeing Star Wars. And Filoni has been doing that for years on the animated side. I think he's the man to kind of handle that going forward for all of it.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep.
What else was announced for Disney Plus that we got
Well,
super excited
speaking
about?
of which, so you have the entire seasons of Clone Wars plus the new 7th season that they were
That's
in.
right. The 7th season. Yeah.
What a time to be alive, baby.
Finally finishing out the Clone Wars story.
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, Cassian Andor.
Right. So that's going to be pre-Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Following Cassian around. I think that's a fascinating choice because his character was so interesting in Rogue One because of that kind of duality of his nature. He's fighting the good fight, but he's doing bad things for good purposes, you know? I think that'll be a really fascinating story to follow.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. It's kind of like what they did with Temple of Doom, right? It's a prequel to the first Indiana Jones movie. So in this one, he's kind of a piece of crap, and he turns into a decent guy, you know? And I think that's kind of what they're going to do with Andor.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, and what's his name? The actor. Diego Luna.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic. And I'm super excited to see him get to kind of lead his own Star Wars story. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
You know, not to sound too cheesy, but it's nice to see some representation in the Star Wars universe because Diego Luna's my age, right? And so I followed his career since I was 12. And I've kind of seen him come from like cheesy, telenovelas.
Telenovela, yeah.
Yeah, to like now full on Star Wars. And like, I'm very proud that an actual Mexican is doing it. I mean, they've had Latinos before, but Jimmy Smiths don't count, you know?
Well, it's funny. I actually ran across a video today of Carl Sagan on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson all the way back in the late 70s. And they were talking about Star Wars. And Johnny Carson was asking Carl Sagan, you know, like, what are your thoughts on Star Wars, you know? And Carl Sagan's critique was, I think it's interesting that, in this galaxy far, far away, it's all run by white males, and a real anti-Wookiee sentiment. You know, the Wookiee didn't get a medal at the end.
That was a good point.
I was like, wow, look at Carl Sagan go.
Yeah. Although, if we're being fair, according to Palpatine's original doctrine, if he ain't white, he ain't right. That's just the way the Empire runs.
Right. Well, Johnny Carson says to him, they had that cantina scene. There were all those characters, lots of different races and stuff. And Carl Sagan goes, yeah, but none of them were in charge.
That's a good point.
Because they all looked like us, the people who are in charge, which is not, I'm like, oh, you go, Carl Sagan. So when you hear, what's his name? Carl Sagan's heir apparent.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah, when you hear Neil deGrasse Tyson getting on the case of films today, he's just carry on. Carl Sagan's man.
Well, it was in his will.
But yeah, no, it's going to be great to see that. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, so real quick, they announced the director for Obi-Wan, Deborah Chow. They named a woman.
She's coming over from The Mandalorian.
Yep.
So
nice.
she worked on The Mandalorian. Kathleen Kennedy said she did a great job there, and they wanted a director who could handle the spectacle but also handle the quiet moments. And they were really impressed with what she did on The Mandalorian, and they announced her coming on as the director of Obi-Wan today.
Cool.
Yeah, but a woman, no thank you. I can't possibly relate. I'm just kidding. Good for her.
That was like 7 hours ago when they announced that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
A big day for news out of Disney, because the day started with Disney news. I opened up my iPad in my bed this morning and went, holy shit, God. Spider-Man's back in the MCU.
Yeah.
Tom Holland's Instagram post was by far the best thing ever.
Absolutely. That kid knows how to use social media. Did you see the post, Jordan?
No, what did he say?
He posted a video from The Wolf of Wall Street where Leo's standing in front of all the guys in the office and he goes, "I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving." And they're all cheering him.
I love that kid.
The show must go on. Yeah, no.
Show must go on. I was like, it was
So
perfect. But what a piece of drama that was. So we had all the fun at Comic-Con with all these announcements of everything going on with Marvel, but there was no Spider-Man news there. And everybody kind of thought that was a little weird, especially since Far From Home was in theaters and doing well. Fast forward, it was just a couple weeks later, and
it was like the day before D23.
Yeah, when it drops that Spidey's leaving the MCU because Sony and Disney couldn't come to an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting because that news came out like unofficially. Like neither company had put out a press release. The news just like hit the wire that morning that they had walked away from the table, and neither company had actually said anything.
Yeah.
And then everybody was at D23, including Tom Holland, because he was there promoting another film that he was in. And they were all just kind of in this awkward position where they had to talk about this thing that neither company had put a press release out about. And it was weird. I mean, was it just me or did anybody else find the whole situation odd?
Well, at some point they said something, because by the time Tom Holland got to stage at D23, something was finally said, because he hadn't said anything either for like the 3 or 4 days. Like he pretty much kind of disappeared a little bit from social media, which is different for him. He had posted a couple small things here or there, but he was totally not touching it either. Like, I think I told Mikey, I was like, I'm all, he was waiting for his people to tell him what he's allowed to say.
When he finally made that statement, though, it was pretty classy, wasn't it? He was like, wherever I continue with it, I just want to continue being Spider-Man. Which really, honestly, what else is he going to say? Please don't make me one of a long line of failed Spider-Men. Poor bastard.
Yeah, well,
but let's talk about how crazy people got. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that was crazy vocal. What everybody was like.
I mean, the internet was abuzz about it for weeks. And then this morning, this news dropped, and I was like, "Oh, is this real?"
Yeah,
is this really real? And I opened up Facebook, and my timeline was just nothing but Spider-Man images.
Nice.
It must be real.
Facebook says so.
And 70% of the people on my timeline were sharing it. That's how I know I have a good community on my back.
That's how you know you got good friends there.
All right.
But, I was very happy to see that news this morning. The deal apparently is for one more solo Spider-Man film and one appearance in another MCU movie.
Which is good, because the cliffhanger that left after Far From Home was like, oh my God, we need to keep going, please.
I read an interesting piece on one of the fan sites or whatever today where they were like, maybe, and they were kind of grabbing onto what Feige had to say about getting Spider-Man back for these couple of movies. Feige says in his quote, and remember, Kevin Feige is very careful about how he speaks. He doesn't divulge stuff, but he does drop hints of stuff all the time. He said, Spider-Man is the only superhero with the power to cross cinematic multiverses.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We know what that means.
And he says, he said something along the lines of, anything's possible. We'll see how things go in the future. So the guy who was critiquing this quote is like, could Marvel be setting up a Secret Wars storyline that'll open up Spider-Man into the Venom Spideyverse at large but continue to tie him into the MCU for a long period going forward, which then opens up everything together.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm really excited.
Now, when this news broke about them parting ways back earlier in the summer, supposedly Disney had been asking for 50% of the revenues from having Spider-Man in the films instead of 5%, which is what Sony gave them for him to be in these 5 movies, was 5%. And supposedly they were offering to expand the MCU into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened Thursday night. The agreement got signed. What I read this morning from Variety was that they think it's a 25% deal for Disney, which is 1/4 of all box office. But nobody said anything about that other stipulation that the Spider-Verse at large could become part of the MCU as well. But this quote from Feige is hinting at possibilities.
Yeah, but you can't say it. They say it because it gives away stuff.
They don't want to. Yeah, they never want to give too much of their hand away.
Yep.
But it is a really interesting quote. I'm very curious to see what happens. Because as much as I was kind of meh about Venom, they are working on Venom 2. And I do like Tom Hardy. I'm not big on the Venom character just in general. But there are so many Spider-Man characters that I would love to see integrated in some way to this greater cinematic universe.
And the other solo villain movie is Morbius.
Yeah, which will nicely tie into Blade, right? Or it can.
There you go. They do have a crossover in the comics,
and they are talking about Blade being in Phase 5. So, interesting that the phases are only 2 years long now.
Yeah, what's the story there?
Well, look how much they're dropping in 2 years. It's insane.
Yeah, it is pretty great.
The same amount of TV shows and everything that they're doing is basically what they did over like 4 years.
Wow.
It's more really, because if you factor in that every TV show is 8 to 10 episodes, even if it's 6, that's still 3 movies worth of content.
Right.
You know, it sounds to me like Disney Plus is putting a lot of their eggs into the Disney Plus basket, which is probably good, right? Because from what I hear, attendance has been kind of low at their parks.
Attendance hasn't. The whole attendance thing is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a Disney-related topic. Galaxy's Edge opened this summer at Disneyland. It opened a couple weeks back in Disney World in the middle of a fucking hurricane. Keep that in mind. And also right at the end of summer when attendance at that park drops anyway. But we've all been to Galaxy's Edge. It's awesome. It's not done. They're still working on getting one of the rides finished. But it's still an awesome experience for anybody who loves Star Wars. But there was an interesting thing. The attendance at the park overall dropped this summer. Overall. So to say that Galaxy's Edge doesn't have the crowds that you expected and blaming everything on Galaxy's Edge is maybe disingenuous when the entire park is experiencing a drop in attendance. So is that Galaxy's Edge fault, or is that Disneyland's fault for raising the price so much?
I think it's
Galaxy's Edge opened.
And I think it's blackout dates too.
They blacked out a lot of. They always black out a lot of annual pass holders during the summer. That's a normal procedure, but they did expand it.
Yeah.
For a period of time because they were anticipating large crowds. But I think between raising the rates and look, they've raised the ticket price to Disneyland something like 5 times in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It is super expensive to go to Disneyland. If you're a family of 4, it's going to cost you like $500 just to go in for a day.
Jeez.
That's just to get in
to one park.
to one of the parks. That's not even a park hopper. That's just to get into Disneyland Park itself. It doesn't. You got to pay for food. You want some souvenirs. If you're a family, if you're a family of 4, you can expect to spend $1,000 just going to the park for a day.
Oh my God!
Right. So when you start looking at the kind of broader picture of Disney parks, the crowds at Galaxy's Edge, honestly, that I don't think that's really the true story of it. The true story here is that Disneyland Parks attendance is down across the board.
I think some of that too has a lot to do with it's not fully completed, Galaxy's Edge. And if you are a family who is only going to go
the one time in 10 years.
One time in 10 years or the whatever.
You're probably going to wait till next year.
But I would, at that point in time, I would wait for Marvel Land at DCA to be done.
Which will be next year. And then the other ride for Galaxy's Edge to be done as well. I would totally wait. I more see next year's attendance going crazy. Now, here's something else I read, and I think it was the Orange County Register put this article out, but they were talking about the crowds at Disneyland and specifically Galaxy's Edge and people wondering where the crowds are. Disneyland Park has a limited number of people they're allowed to have in on a daily basis.
Yep.
And that's based on fire codes and the ability to move people out of the park. There aren't significant increases in exits because Galaxy's Edge got put in than there were before.
Yeah.
So what the Orange County Register was saying is they don't think that the actual attendance numbers at the park can go up much higher than they already were. But you now have
more space.
Yeah, something like 100 acres of extra land.
Jeez.
25% more space.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a huge part. Yeah, Galaxy's Edge is a huge venue. And the line they were making assumptions on lines, but if the line for Smuggler's Run is an hour long, you figure there's I think they said something like 5,000 people in line. Figure another 5,000 people wandering around Galaxy's Edge doing the phone games and shopping and eating and in the cantina and whatever. That's 10,000 people that have been removed from the rest of the park. Have you guys noticed that the rest of the park, the lines aren't more than an hour long now?
Yep.
Even in the middle of summer. Right? So as much as anything too, Galaxy's Edge has made the park feel less crowded overall. Huh. The actual attendance numbers, what I've been hearing is they're only about 2.5% or maybe as much as 5% down from last summer, right? So the numbers aren't enormously different from last year. They are down, but they're not down. It's not like there's 50% less people in the park, but it feels that way.
It certainly does. Yeah.
It's really strange. And one of the other things too is like with the rest of the lands in the park, you don't go to New Orleans Square necessarily and hang out there for 2 hours. Like you run there, you find a line, you get in line and you ride a ride. And then you leave that and you're like, oh, Haunted Mansion, I'm going to go there. I'm going to ride that. And then you run off and go to Space Mountain. And then you get out and you look for what line is short and you move there. So the rest of the park experiences a lot of like erratic movement of people. But when you go to Galaxy's Edge, partially because it's kind of removed from the rest of the park, you go to Galaxy's Edge, you go there to experience it for a period of time. So people go there and they stay there for 2 hours, 3 hours.
3 to 4 hours, yeah.
Instead of wandering around and occupying space in the rest of the park. So it's been an interesting thing. It's a small number in reality in terms of attendance figures being down, but because of that expanse of Galaxy's Edge, the rest of the park would naturally feel less crowded anyway.
Right.
Even if the numbers had stayed at the level that they could have from the year before. Say the ticket prices hadn't gone up as much as they had. and people came in the same numbers that they had the year before. I don't go in the summertime usually because the place feels claustrophobic. I went twice this summer. It never felt claustrophobic. But if you were in the parking garage, you could tell there's still a huge number of people in the park. But I really think having all that extra land and place where people disappear for several hours, it's really helped with crowd control all over the place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice, man. I got a Dole Whip within minutes. All the lines were just short, I could just do whatever I wanted. It was great.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you figure Disneyland Park can hold 80 to 90,000 people, and you take 10 of those and shove them over to Galaxy's Edge every hour of the day, that's a significant drop in overall crowd throughout the rest of the park.
I think you're right. And going back to what Theresa said about, it makes more sense that families would wait until next year until, Galaxy's Edge was more fleshed out. I got to tell you this, though. I went this summer, and it was nice how many people there weren't. It was great. I didn't have to deal with a lot of swarming, I got to see things comfortably. It was great.
Well, and that really is the thing, right? You don't want that park overcrowded. It would be hard to enjoy being at Galaxy's Edge if it was as crowded as Disneyland can be in the summer times in the past.
Yeah,
definitely.
Oh, and that was their idea with the whole reservation system and all that. Like they wanted to keep it a lower number in that area.
Yeah, that first month was all reservation because they didn't want it to be overrun by people. And quite frankly, I think that had an effect too on attendance through the summer because everybody was like, "Holy crap, they're doing this like crazy reservation thing for Galaxy's Edge that first month. It's going to be insane." And I think that really tempered a lot of people's desire to try and go in the first 3 months of it being open.
I knew a lot of people that are like, I'll go in the fall. I'll go.
Yeah, I've heard that from a ton of people. I'll go later, and I keep telling them, "No, go ahead and go now. It's easy."
Yeah, man. Let me tell you something, though. Disney is one of the smartest companies out there, and it's certainly learning from its mistakes. Because I remember when they first opened Toontown, holy crap. We couldn't move around. We were pushing my brother in a stroller, and, I wasn't very pleasant to deal with. My father, let me just say, I understand now why he was angry all the time.
Toontown was miserable when it first opened. That's true.
Yeah.
That is very true. Because there were really only 2 rides in there. The Go-Go Coaster.
Yeah.
And Roger Rabbit's Sit and Spin.
Oh.
Which broke down constantly in the early days. Which then meant you only had the Go-Go Coaster. And then you could stand in line to go see Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. I mean,
it was a weird piece of property to open, I think Galaxy's Edge is a far better designed, far better thought out, and I think its opening was handled a lot better, short of this increase in ticket prices. I really think the biggest problem with Disneyland right now is it's just so incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Animals, and they don't ever
Good riddance. It keeps everybody away.
Yeah. Well, Disney World has been super expensive forever too. But Disney World and Disneyland have slightly different business models.
Yeah, you can get booze at Disney World.
Well, you can at Disneyland too.
Yes, now.
But primarily classically, Disneyland's attendance has been more Southern California visitors, locals who go and visit the park, as opposed to Disney World, which is like the vacation destination for people.
Yep, exactly.
People in Orlando do not go to Disney World. And if you ever hear of one who does, it's like, whoa, what? You went to Disney World? It's like a huge surprise.
But that's why the rides there, they typically don't change. Like here, for Nightmare Before Christmas and Haunted Mansion, you have your fans that love the switchover during it. But if you are a tourist coming to Disney World for your very first time, you want that original experience.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so they do things at Disneyland differently.
Yeah.
Because the 10 years ago, gosh, was it 10 years ago, 12 years ago when they started doing the Haunted Mansion holiday? They were doing that because the majority of people who came to the park, especially in the wintertime, were locals.
Huh.
Because people don't vacation to California in the winter. It's a summer destination. So they did the Haunted Mansion holiday to try and increase locals coming into the park to visit rides that they felt like they've seen a million times already in a new way.
Yeah, well, and that's sparked them doing, like with Space Mountain, you had Ghost Galaxy, and
Ghost Galaxy, and the one summer they had all the Red Hot Chili Peppers music.
Yeah, you had
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It was so cool.
Yeah,
the Chili Peppers came in and like redid their songs and timed them out to the ride. They did
that to the. It's in Cretacoaster now, but it was so
they did it on
Screamin'.
California Screamin', and they did it on Space Mountain both.
Yeah, it was so cool.
That sounds amazing.
Different song for each ride.
Each one about
totally
California.
Cool. Yeah,
that's incredible. Yeah, but Disneyland is always, you're right, it's always in flux. I mean, 10 years ago, you could see a pirate sexually harass one of the wenches. You don't see that no more, and I'm with it.
Yeah, now they just chase food around.
Yeah, well, as it should be. I mean, I'm just getting my tastes are changing,
So Disney Plus, super exciting.
Can we talk about the Jeff Goldblum?
So that's where I was going to get to. Like, I'm super excited about all the little original docu-series that they're doing.
Right.
One day
Disney has
Disney.
done documentary series forever. It was one of the things that Walt loved. They did some of the best nature documentaries around in the 50s and 60s and 70s.
Well, yeah, now they actually have National Geographic with it, so that's really cool. But yeah, so you have One Day at Disney, which follows all the different jobs at the Disney parks, which is going to be really cool. Encore with Kristen Bell, so that gets a reuniting high school
cast members.
Yep, and putting them in their places as adults once they forgot all that stuff. But then the other big one is The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
So good.
Basically, yeah, it's just follow Jeff Goldblum around.
That'll be fun.
I'm so excited.
What more do you want? That sounds incredible, man. Life finds a way.
This is not Disney related news, but did you all see that news about Jurassic World 3?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
All three of them are back. That's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Also, I heard they were digging up David Attenborough's corpse, just in case this doesn't work for the iteration. Let's be honest. Getting the original cast back is what they need after the last. Turd is a strong word, but not strong enough.
Yeah, we'll have a whole nother episode that'll focus on the Jurassic Park franchise.
Well, count me in, baby.
That's a great idea. We'll do that episode next. But we have one more major Star Wars thing coming this year with The Rise of Skywalker. I personally love everything I've seen that's been coming out about it. Trying not to get too wrapped up in rumors and speculation about what it's going to do and how it's going to play out. But I've loved the clips I've seen. I love the trailers that they've put out so far. I believe we should be getting a new trailer, like the final theatrical trailer, in a couple weeks.
All right.
I have barely watched anything. But ask David. That's how I do it, though. I don't.
Teresa's trying to go into Star Wars spoiler free.
Yep.
Ooh, that's tough to do, pal.
It is. It's a tough one. I've always been able to pull it off. I'll watch maybe one or two of the trailers, and that's about it. That's about the extent of what I'll do.
But you have seen the latest trailer.
No.
So we can't talk about a certain character that looks insanely creepy now?
You can, but I can go off the listening.
We don't want to ruin it for you, but I think everybody here knows what I'm talking about.
You talking about Red Eyes?
You're damn right. And let me tell you something. She looks even spookier in that trailer than Darth Maul looked throughout the entire episode 1. And that dude looks like the devil himself.
Are we talking about Noxema Girl?
No.
What? We're talking about Ray. Evil Ray. Oh, how creepy does she look?
I know.
She is she's horrifying. I'm so creeped out.
Yeah, I have a feeling that'll be a vision. But
yeah, me too.
I hope so.
Oh, that one. No, I did watch that trailer.
With the
switchblade.
Yeah, with the switchblade.
Did you see the?
Yeah, because we stopped and rewound it on the switchblade. I was like, wait, hold on a second.
Do you see the animated GIF where the person like turned it into a multi-tool?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
and it's
the Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife.
It's hilarious.
It is a weird lightsaber. Ray looks like she's ready to fight either the Jets or the Sharks.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting just to see how J.J. Abrams wraps this up. He has gone on record as saying that nothing that Rian Johnson did diverted him from the original intent of what they wanted to do for this third film. So it'll be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah, but he has to say that.
Getting his own trilogy.
Sorry.
What's that?
Is Ryan still getting his own trilogy?
Supposedly, he's still working on developing a new trilogy. And I honestly, if you take Star Wars and put Rian Johnson into other aspects of it where he's not dealing with Luke.
Yeah, like Old Republic. Give him an Old Republic story.
No.
Yes.
Give that to the Game of Thrones guys.
Oh, you're right. They would be better suited. You're right.
And they're supposedly working on a trilogy as well. But there's no word on when. And that's the other news from today. Kevin Feige's being brought on to produce a Star Wars movie. No word yet on what one exactly that is, but that's super exciting too because that man loves Star Wars as well.
Oh yeah, he does.
So, did you see Brie Larson's tweet after that news came out today?
No.
What did she say?
She just because she's been campaigning like all summer long that she wants to be a Jedi, right? She went to Galaxy's Edge when it opened and took all these photos of herself in costumes. She tweeted out today, "Did someone say Star Wars?"
Yeah.
Nice
and
try,
Chris Evans
and Baru or nothing.
And Chris Evans supposedly tweeted out something as well. So everybody's going, will we see Captain America and Captain Marvel appear in a Star Wars movie together? I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
But whatever it is Feige's doing, it'll be really interesting to see what it is they're tapping him to do. Because I like him. I like him as a producer. I think he's got a great eye for good stories to tell, and nurturing talent. Like he seems to do a good job nurturing talent. So really excited for that.
Yeah, this is gonna be great, man.
Is there anything else from all the Disney news this year that we've missed? I think we've touched on all.
Well, I mean, Disney Plus just alone is going to be massive. I mean, yeah, it's what, $6.99 a month? Yeah.
Or you can bundle it with Hulu and ESPN, but and
then it's $12.99 a month.
Yes.
But that's more for families, let's be honest. People who like Disney don't particularly like ESPN. Oh, am I speaking for myself? I'm an arts guy. I don't give a crap about sports. I'm sorry, manly men. So proud.
Something for Dad to watch while the kids are all.
Oh God, what category do I fall into?
Did anybody watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this summer?
No, not yet.
You haven't watched it yet? Okay, we won't talk about that then. I will say it was kind of awesome.
We saw the very first episode at WonderCon.
Yeah,
from this season.
But it was an awesome season, and
They got one more left.
They got
right?
one more season to come back, and then
Yeah.
that's done. There had been word that they were working on a new Ghost Rider that was going to be on Hulu.
Right.
With the Ghost Rider that they had from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but news came out today that has fallen apart.
So it's Nicolas Cage again, baby.
But what that means is when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ends, the only Marvel TV left really is what's going to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I think there's still some X-Men shows on the Hulu channel or on Hulu.
Who could say?
But
I am excited.
I think a lot of the X-Men stuff will start wrapping up in the next year or so.
Right. I'm excited for the 90s cartoon X-Men to come back.
Right.
It is?
On
Yes.
Disney Plus, the entire 90s cartoons are all going to be on it.
Including
Yep.
Spider-Man?
So they made Spider-Man,
The
X-Men,
Spider-Mans, the X-Men's,
Disney
30
Afternoon
seasons of The Simpsons.
Oh my God. This might be the best. Okay, then it's absolute. I'll even get the ESPN bundle. I don't care. Give it to me.
Yeah, besides obviously the entire catalog of all their movies and Pixar's movies,
You're going to get
it's everything.
DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin.
Yeah, that whole Disney Afternoon stuff from the 90s,
Yep. My
which-
childhood.
which I'm kind of excited about.
It's going to be great, man.
You can order Disney Plus right now if you go to disneyplus.com. It's $6.99 a month, or you can prepay $69.99 for the year.
You can buy the 3-year thing, so it turns into $4 a month.
I haven't seen the 3-year thing on there.
We just had a friend do it, but you have to be a Disney.
You have to be a D23 member.
Or Disney Movie Awards.
Yeah, but normal people. $6.99 or $70 for the month. I mean, really,
So
I haven't
cheaper
had a cable bill back when I had cable and satellite that was less than $120 a month in years. So $70 for a whole year, pretty good deal considering all the stuff that's going to be on Disney Plus.
The only thing you have to do is start thinking about okay, if
Still
you're
cheaper than
going
Netflix.
to pair it with anything else, though, that's where it starts to get a little bit more expensive, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I cut the cord. We don't have cable here anymore.
Oh, I haven't had cable since 2004, 5.
Yeah,
but
so I mean, I'm paying for YouTube TV so that I can watch some broadcast stuff while I'm traveling. That's $50. Netflix is $12.99 or whatever, right?
That's all I'm saying is if you have multiple subscriptions, it adds up.
$7 for Disney Plus. That puts me at what? That puts me at $70. $5 a month for Apple TV Plus, which
So $75 a month.
it's like $75 a month for the major stuff.
So $900 a year.
HBO is going to be having its own streaming service, which will be the Warner Brothers catalog.
Oh, great.
Which will also be the official home of Doctor Who's streaming, apparently.
Oh wow, really? Okay.
That comes out next year. And then Amazon Prime, $70 a year, $120 a year, whatever for Amazon Prime.
Hey, real quick.
That includes so much other stuff.
Hey, as far as the Doctor Who streaming, now is it going to be every episode or just the last 37,000 they've made in the last decade?
I believe it'll be the whole Doctor Who catalog.
I think it's the whole catalog. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, should be interesting. But yeah, I think streaming is the way it's going to go. I'm paying $6.99 a month or whatever for CBS All Access as well for Star Trek.
Sweet. Totally worth it, buddy.
Yeah, well, Picard comes out soon. I'm looking forward to that. So.
What a time to be alive, dude.
So anyway, lots of cool stuff coming from Disney. If you're a Disney fan, there's no better time to be alive, as Jordan said. And honestly, I'm excited at all the streaming stuff. It seems to be just kind of changing the game. The quality of storytelling on the streaming services right now is so good. It's like all the benefits of cable channels without the cable costs.
Yeah, see, so like I like the idea of the 6 to 10 episode seasons. But what you're getting is like these hour and
quality.
a half long, super high quality, very rich content.
Yep.
As opposed to what it used to be, which was 22 episodes and just crank out what you
and
can.
these shows are a lot less formulaic overall. You know, like they're doing interesting things that you don't see on broadcast TV. So yeah, I'm all for it. Like it's improving the quality of storytelling all the way around. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
We will definitely get together again soon and talk some more about Jurassic World. So I think there's a lot to talk about there.
I still have to watch the little short that just came out.
Definitely watch it. It's worth checking it out.
There's
a little short.
Yeah, there's a short called Battle at
Battle Rock? Battleground?
Battle
something?
The Battle of Big Rock or something like that. Yeah. Go on, just look for Jurassic World short. You'll find it. Awesome. Colin Trevorrow wrote and directed it. So it's the guy who's behind the whole new Jurassic World series. He didn't direct the second film.
Thank God.
But this short is cool because it totally sets up what I was hoping they would be doing after the ending of the second film, where humans and dinosaurs are literally coexisting in the world.
Sweet.
And this really sets the stage for where they'll be taking Jurassic World 3. And I actually find it exciting. And then to hear that the original cast is coming back for the third one, I think it sets the stage for a really interesting third film. And that, for me, Jurassic World 2 felt like it was treading water to get to this one. So, but we'll talk more about that on the next episode. Until then, I'm your host of Sci-Fi Sunday Podcast, Dave Dawson, and I've been chatting with my buddies.
What up?
Mike Peterson.
And Jordan.
Jacobo.
What's his last name? I don't think that's his last name.
That is it.
Jacobo.
No, what?
Theresa Dawson.
All right, guys. We will catch you all again very, very soon.
All right. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.